running a high now. They're going to be untouchable, and yeah, look for them to once again try and smash their way through.
And they'd love to for the points as well. The Arlington champs select for game 2. EDG on the blue side now. Gamtee over on the red side. We've got Annie, Cassidy, and Lysandra, the 3 bans there for EDG. Pretty interesting with the first ban there as well. And Rex side there for Gamtee. Very sensible bans.
Yeah, EDG banning away the Annie just means how much emphasis they put on this champion. Not willing to first pick it, but obviously hold it in very high regard. So taking that one away, Mako has only really played that and Leona, I believe, so we'll be interested to see what he picks up instead.
Yep.
Looks like it might be a Thresh. No, it's not.
I think he's played a bit of Janna as well. She is also open. I think one of the reasons they wanted to swap was that Mako played a bit more disengaged. And there we go. There's the Janna.
Yeah, well, nailed it there. Jarvan was the last ban being taken away, so he's not an option. I wouldn't be surprised if Lee Sin gets picked up here by Danger, just because if he doesn't really play that Lee Sin, there's nothing else he can really go to.
Yeah, and I think Danger's played a couple games of Rengar, but again, most of the Rengar plays in the LPL, Loveling from OMG withstanding, have just not had that much success. Very popular jungle, but the jungle's so top-heavy right now in picks that when those 2 junglers get picked up, you don't have very many options left. So Lee Sin, like you predicted, and Aurelia are the first 2 picks for Gamtee.
Yeah, and I like this pick ban a lot more because this allows them to put pressure on the backline. Their other team really was execution heavy. We didn't touch on it that much, but not really much ability to be able to dive through and get onto the carries like Pawn, like Def. So much better coming through, but the response from EDG looks like Clear Love might go for that Nunu.
Yeah, I actually forgot that, in the LPL, the jungle ball has been expanded a little bit here, and Clear Love's played a crap ton of Nunu in the last few days. Even Dandy's been picking it up as well from Vici, so lots of respect they're given to that champion. Rumble's also open, which is sort of one of the things when you pick up that Aurelia, and there we go. Nunu, Rumble, the 2 picks for EDG.
Yeah, it certainly is. Aurelia does well against Rumble in lane, but Rumble spikes way earlier than Aurelia. Aurelia really needs that Trinity Force, has a very good window, and then really needs a defensive item to continue that push through. Rumble needs nothing. He needs like boots and a couple of potions, and he's nearly good to go.
Yeah, we've talked about Koro being not just a consistent laner, but a stellar team fighter for his team as well. And Rumble's the kind of champion in his hands that can engineer some beautiful things for Edward Gaming. So we'll see what he gets done. Even in the lane swap, Koro's looked very strong as well, so I do like this pick a lot.
Yeah, he certainly has looked good in the lane swaps. I also think that coupling a Rumble with a Nunu allows you to play a good hyper carry because it's very hard to get into the backline, and against a Sivir, they might pull something out.
Yeah, Sivir and Nami are the 2 picks there for Gamtee, so going to complete a pretty popular LPL bottom lane.
Yeah, it certainly is one of the more popular bottom lanes. Does well in bullies. The sustain really helps Sivir, who has short range, so can get harassed, but they have to be scared here because Deft on Caitlyn with a Janna support is just going to mean that they shove the lane relentlessly, equally as well, and just outranged by so far.
Yeah, we've seen what Uzi does as well with his Caitlyn, just gets so aggressive and contest for the CSN. I do like the synergy with Janna there as well. Caitlyn very much a late game carry, which is sort of a weird thing. Pawn was teasing me for a while. He will see what I do when I go for. Please do it. Oh my god. He's picked Veigar.
So he has blind picked a Veigar into the mid lane, which is, that's a very brave decision.
I mean, Pawn, I think after that last game, has to be feeling very good about how that game went. So I was maybe thinking, I think we talked a little bit about it before we went on, that maybe Pawn's going to do something funny here and pull out an interesting champion. Just have a little bit of fun. That is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's something I haven't actually seen him pull out. We were, I guess, summarizing that might be a talent or something along those lines.
Katarina is up there as well, but no, Veigar instead, of course.
Exactly right. So looking to get him in here against Xiao, who's Azir. Azir is a very strong laner at the moment. However, the 100-0 potential that comes out of a Veigar is very good.
Yeah, and Azir, a very strong late-game-oriented AP carry as well, so you can pick them off. Even little Nami might get picked up by the Veigar ult as well. I mean, if there's anyone that's going to show me how to play Veigar at a competitive level, I think I'm going to trust Pawn.
Yeah, I certainly will. Also has that Event Horizon, probably the best non-ultimate ability in the game. That stun is just huge and goes for days.
And you do have to land it. It's a very weird hitbox. It's very tricky. But again, if anyone can do this, it's probably Pawn. I can't believe you picked Veigar.
Yeah, no, I certainly can't believe it. In general, though, you can understand why he did, because that big stun, the Nunu Absolute Zero that's going to come through, as well as the Equalizer, they have some very good zone control in an unorthodox comp.
Yeah, and that's really, as you said it, Event Horizon is such a good stun, a very weird ability, but very powerful if you can use it correctly. It controls so much space, and I can't wait to see how the team fighting fluid, just amazing mid lane player does with the champion. It's a little bit fun in Veigar.
Yeah, and the other thing, they've got some winning lanes. The bottom lane definitely a winning lane, so they might have to lane swap here GT to get away from it. So yeah, good decision.
Well, you know what? Let's just see what happens when Pawn plays Veigar. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LPL. And if you are just joining us, you not only missed a great game, but you're not going to miss this. EDG on the left are up a game here, and Pawn has picked Vega as his mid laner.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here trying to think of all my Vega stats that I know, and I don't really know that many of them. I know that he has a great stun. You'll max that second. Most people put 3 points in their Q and use it as a harass tool. So we'll see how that one comes out, but overall, this is going to be a lot of explosions early, I think.
Yeah, looking to get his farm on potentially. So actually some mana potion in his inventory for even more Qs to stack that up early. So we'll see how Pawn plays. If anyone can make this work at a competition like the LPL, it is going to be a player like Pawn, who just played every champion role. You talk about his deep champion pool spawn. I didn't quite expect this.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't expect this. Once again, I'm really scraping back into the old memory bank to try and figure out how he's going to play this lane. I think the Ignite is something that we need to touch on because he is a pretty long-range mage. It gives him some good kill potential, but he's also very prone to gank if he uses that Event Horizon as an aggressive spell.
Yep, so we'll have to see just how that works through there as well. As we'll look at the rest of the lineups, Gamtee just sort of setting up a 4-point defense here, wanting to make sure they've got their entrances covered. Looks like EDG are kind of doing the same there as well. Looks like Clearlove going to go start on Gromp to blue. Same start he did last time, actually, on the red side. And looks like the same side of the jungle there for Gamtee's all Danger will team up with Let Me for the red buff. Yeah,
they certainly will. And I think that something I have to point out is the fact that they got a deep ward, so they know where the bottom lane is on Gamtee's side. And without showing any lanes at this point, EDG have made it extremely difficult for Gamtee to dodge the 2v2 lane.
And that's, I think, exactly the lane they want to set up here with the Caitlyn. Caitlyn is a very weird AD character. She has a very similar power curve to Tristana, where she's very strong early and very good late, but has that dip in the middle. And Deft, if you can get ahead early, we've seen it when Uzi plays this champion. Things can just be devastating. You can really snowball a game.
Yeah, you really can. Her passive is just so good. You throw a Janna shield on top of that, and it's just so hard to see yes against the Caitlyn. And you already see Def walking up this lane confidently past the support. He just wants to harass for every CS.
I mean, we can even talk about the lane matchup as well. Civ has been so popular in the LPL, but this is one of the best counters.
Yeah, it certainly is. I throw Caitlyn and Jinx up there as the two best counters currently just because of this. Being able to walk past the minions and harass is so key, and they auto-attack so much that they get the most value out of the Durand Blade. Yeah,
Koro actually already used his flash. Must have spotted Danger coming through for a ward, so a bit preemptive, but very smartly played, but good pressure by Lee Sin early on.
Yeah, and looking to bully Koro, who was 100 CS up in about 10 minutes, so really nicely done there, being able to force him off the lane. Might be able to revisit for a little bit of a gank.
Yeah, and good to get aggressive early on as Lee Sin as well, because Nunu really does start to shut at your gank pass once he gets his quick sights done.
He certainly does, and especially Lee Sin. He actually relies on his auto attacks in between abilities a lot early levels to put down that damage. That's the difference between really good Lee Sin players. They weave auto attacks well, and Nunu just shuts down so much of that with that really annoying Ice Blast.
Yeah, Mako will even get an early ward down, spotting Danger, starting his blue buff. So EDG might look for a contest or might just take the information instead. Mako's actually hanging around for quite a little while longer here. We'll back off. Just actually using a tornado. Going to bully Danger a little bit, try and annoy him.
Yeah, just try and force him off that blue. Of course, the buffs do so much damage. And the other thing it did by spotting Lee Sin, it meant that Koro could go back to being that aggressive Rumble. Actually takes a turret shot for his trouble.
Yeah, bit behind in CS here, but played very aggressively with the Flame Shooter. That's one of the very unique things about Rumble as well. Maybe go into a little more... Oh, Def gets caught there by the bubble as well. Boomerang Blade will just miss there. Mako goes in aggressively, actually pops the shield on and tail. Might be a little too low here. Maybe have to blow a summoner. No holds onto them for now. But that was a great trade for Good Gaming.
Yeah, fantastic turnaround. That was all Mako as well, getting the double NATO across, and wow, just able to turn that fight on its head. You throw in a headshot with a really nice Eye of the Storm coming through, and you're just not going to out-trade that lane.
Yeah, Xiaohu getting chunked down as well, though, by Pawn, who starting to turn his aggression on. Little low on mana, does have his flask and a few biscuits left to get that back up, but he's really trying to farm hard here. Actually maxing the Q as well, it looks like, so going to be trying to get all the AP stacking up.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it. You probably use it more of a harass tool at the start of the game. It does help you stack up late game. You just really want to hit those cannons with it. You really do have to choose whether you harass or farm, however, as a Vega. So see how Pawn goes about it. Is actually 11 CS down at the start of the game.
Yeah, Shayo's done a good job of pushing him in early with this, which is exactly what you want to do against a Vega. Pawn's trying, but he can't quite last hit under the turret as well as he would like. And Clearlove doing Clearlove things here. 3 wards deep into the enemy jungle and the Grump.
Yeah, so gets all the ward vision he needs down and then goes for a little bit of a wander for a counter jungle. So good Nunu play there. I think that is one of the most important things you can take away from watching these Chinese junglers play Nunu, you need to control the side of the enemy jungle if you're going to play Nunu. Otherwise, there is no point picking him.
Kind of looking back in towards the top lane as well. Deft is very far ahead in this bottom lane, around 20 CS and canning, which is where he wants to be. But Korra going back here, actually behind her and Let Me, and this is a very interesting lane matchup spawn.
Yeah, it's a very hard matchup for Rumble in the actual long run because you can't itemize both defensive stats. You have a hard time getting HP early on in the game. And Aurelia just trades so well with these mages because it can go in, bait out your Flame Splitter, dive back into the backline, get an Equilibrium Strike, and really start pressuring you down. The shield doesn't do much to mitigate the damage.
We'll see what happens here. Tail looking a little low, I think, in the bottom side, but it has been pressured there on the Sivir. Def, again, continuing his aggression. Now starting to push these waves a little bit faster into the turret. And again, Caitlyn with a long range can even harass and compete for you for CS when you're trying to farm out from under your turret.
Yeah, and I think that this is a good move by Deft. I think changing pace in the lane really keeps Tail on his toes. We'll go back and have a much better early shot. It's going to be a pickaxe against a longsword, and that's just really good news for the Caitlyn player in this matchup.
Yeah, a bit bigger than a longsword actually, be the BF sword coming through, which I know is what you meant, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine coming through there. So it looks like Danger actually looking to get aggressive in the top lane, but this might mean a Dragon Pastry time.
Really smart Dragon from EDG. They knew they'd force Tail off, and I don't know if they have vision of Danger, but just with the Sivir going back off, they'll take the free Dragon here. But top lane could be trouble here. Korra a little low, does pop the Equalizer. Let Me has to be very careful. It's juking around the burning very well there, and Korra nowhere to go. No summoners left. Will go down here and does give first blood to Aurelia.
Yeah, so good response getting the Aurelia ahead. 20 CS and a kill definitely means a lot at this point in the game, but EDG recognizing that the bottom half of the map doing extremely well, so why even try and bail Korra out? Just let him, he'll get through as a Rumble, so pick up the first Dragon in response.
Yeah, Let Me though is probably the scariest mid-game member on the Gamtee side, so they've done well to get Aurelia the first kill there. Let Me will be on a really good clip to get that Trinity Force, and I love this buy as well. Very fast Sheen.
Yeah, and I mentioned it in the Corki matchup last time around. If you are looking to go aggressive, Sheen is the best component out of Trinity Force because it gives you a lot of mixed damage from the Equilibrium Strike into the auto attack afterwards. And it also means that you can trade in short bursts fantastically. Yeah,
now Pawn looks like he's going to waddle over on his Vega and pick up blue buff off Clear Love. Deft down the bottom has returned with that BF sword here and is continuing to harass poor Tail in this lane. And this is part of the thing that we've seen evolve as we've seen more LPL games. Sivir has been very popular, especially in the early weeks, but more and more players and teams are just figuring out how to beat her.
Yeah, I can't believe it actually took this long because we kind of go through the same thing with like Orianna and then the Fizz coming in. There are just so many things in this game that outright counter, and Caitlyn is just, it's like paper, scissors, rock. Beats Sivir hands down.
Oh, and Pawn has solo killed Xiaohu in the mid lane as Vega in an LPL match.
Well, you don't want to fight Vega 1v1. Actually, the more AP you get, the more damage he does to you. So even if you look like you're ahead of him, chances are he's still going to be able to blow you up.
Yeah, and Pawn using the ulti and the ignite just clean Xiaohu off the moment. Didn't even have a chance to use his barrier, it looks like. So that was a very fast kill from the Vega.
Yeah, it does look like he actually used his ultimate, so maybe got caught out trying to rotate across and help out his jungler because now Clearly taking away the red.
Really good steal there from Clearly, but down the bottom action aplenty as well as Def was 1v2ing for a second there off screen. Mako did come in to help him. The ace in the hole will come through, does not get blocked by Tail with no spell shield left, so Def with some great harass there as well.
Yeah, it certainly was. If he hit that Pilt over, it would have nearly forced Tail out of lane again. Deft actually surprisingly low on mana. You see Caitlyn's pick up mana pots a lot. I think he has one running at the moment, just so he's able to push this lane out consistently with that Pilt over.
Yeah, Janna Shield can only do so much in the early stages of the game, and all Def wants to do is apply pressure in the early game and give himself the biggest leg up into the mid-game mode. Caitlyn will start to dip. Now Clearlove and Pawn have rocketed up into the top lane. Clearlove's looking for another gank.
Yeah, straight away they were pinged back. Don't really want to dive this Aurelia at this point, especially not with out the ultimate up from Pawn. So just trying to get some pressure down.
Yeah, Xiaohu again going to get chunked here by Pawn. Pawn no ulti left right now. They can't quite use it yet, but we'll just farm out from under his turret. Danger now coming in towards the bottom side of the map. Recognizes that he really needs to be impactful in towards this bottom lane.
Yeah, so Pawn actually went 4 points into his queue. Maybe might even level it up to 5 points at level 9, but has started to level up his event horizon second. So the important thing about it might seem a little bit backwards, but you get more damage down because it guarantees your W will hit the more points you put in that E ability.
Yeah, from memory as well. Oh, gosh. Pawn going again. Shower could be in trouble. Clearlove popped his ulti, but Pawn flash out from under the Emperor's Divide, and another kill there, this time with a bit of help from Clearlove.
Yeah, another gank coming through from Clearlove. So once again, dictating the pace as a jungler. Danger in the bottom lane. Nothing much happening down there. And Pawn now 2-0-0, being able to equalize the CS, only 10 behind. This is going very well for the Vega.
Yeah, and honestly, that's basically a solo kill. Pawn did the work there. Clearlove pretty much just came in, smited him for a slow, and then ultied for a little bit of extra damage. So Pawn with another nice setup there, gets the kill. Still behind in CS like you mentioned, but looking fine here on this Vega with the Athenes almost done now.
Yeah, certainly is. About 500 gold up as well. That's the difference between the Chalice route, I guess, against the... going for the early Morellonomicon. Sorry, I forgot the item name there. So looks like Xiaohu, even though he's against an extremely bursty Vega, doesn't value that MR on the item.
Yeah, I mean, Morellonomicon, as you mentioned, such a popular and gold-efficient item, but maybe struggle here against the Vega, who's already looking strong. I mean, we said it. If anyone's going to win this particular lane, it is going to be Pawn and his Vega. So we'll see how this develops here for Pawn. As Def down the bottom, still farming it up here, ahead on still about 20 CS, which is pretty much where you want to be or you expect to be in the early stages of that lane. Korra's returning to the top as well. Actually got an early arm guard. Yeah,
so going back for an early arm guard. I don't mind the pickup, of course, with that Trinity Force coming out. Going to be a lot of auto attack damage coming from the Aurelia. Does, however, need to be mindful that there is about 2 minutes on Dragon, actually only a minute now, and he won't have any magic penetration for the first fight.
Yeah, does have his teleport up though, and isn't actually anywhere near level 11, so it will just be the level 1 ulti when EDG move in for that next Dragon. Pondo's continuing to get CS there with his Q. Just getting the minions there, stacking that AP up very early on. And Vega really, especially if you get ahead, you get to a weird mid-game point where, you kind of buy a couple items and you have like 400 plus AP.
Wow, and the damage coming out in the mid lane.
Yeah, just throws the ulti there at Xiaohu again. Can't quite get the kill this time with Pawn, little low on mana, but continuing to pressure here. That might be a good setup for the next Dragon.
Yeah, it certainly looks like that it's going to at least mean they have control over the area. Pawn might actually have to go back first just because it is a little too far out. So allows Clearlove to go in, get his nice deep ring of wards, and Pawn might just keep pushing, actually.
Yeah, actually just going to do some damage to the turret. Clearlove in the meanwhile, engineering yet another gank here in the bottom lane, but we'll give it up for now. Tail and Sync Dream will just get forced back to their turret as Def, who's still probably got a fistful of gold to go spend whenever he feels like it, continuing to harass this poor Sivir down in the bottom side.
And this is why Caitlyn's power trough isn't as noticeable as Tristana's, because she doesn't allow people to buy when they want to. So right now, you would have to think 2,000 gold on Tail. Why aren't you backing for a BF sword? You could equalize the lane right now, but at the end of the day, the Caitlyn relentlessly shoves you into the turret, means that you don't get the buys that you want, and this item discrepancy is starting to really show.
Oh, Sync Dream, though, did eat the tornado, and Danger gets knocked up as well. Good build of a Peacemaker, actually, for some damage, but the dual teleports will come in. Sync Dream looking like Clearlove, going to set up maybe a mini Empire. No, just snowballs instead, and Korra's going to get the first kill, and EDG have ported all 5 down. Looks like Azir's going to come through, so great ulti there to block the choke off. Tail in the back of the Brimmer, but Clearlove gets kicked there, and the ulti gets cancelled, but Def is just outputting so much damage. Will finally go down to Tail. Korra with a decent equalizer onto Xiaohu now as well, but there's actually another kill going to Azir this time. Now Pawn has come in. The Event Horizon will just miss. Mako is trapped well and truly behind enemy lines, and there's the double for Azir. 3-1 Gamtee, or 3-2.
Yeah, 3-2 for Gamtee. They're able to turn that one on its head, get a couple of exit kills, but that was just an over-aggressive play coming out of EDG. They knew that their mid laner had gone back. They understood that the teleports were available, so overreaching by a lot and paying for it.
Yeah, I mean, decent Goldo coming through still for EDG. They've got actually not a lead at all. That's very surprising to me. They do have the Dragon lead, but not the gold lead, although Deft is starting to still pick up speed on this. Caitlyn does have an Infinity Edge, and that's what I wanted to touch on before that fight started, is that Caitlyn, like you mentioned, the snowball's not that noticeable, especially when you start winning the lane. You sort of mini snowball it as you go along.
Yeah, you certainly do. You continue to pick up momentum. You turn into kind of that train mentality that we like to think about. You kind of start slow, but you just relent. Wow.
Danger's in trouble there. Pawn does get the solo kill there, but now Xiaohu is going to try and run in for the next one. Lettme's here is on. Pawn a little too deep in towards the enemy jungle. Is going to go down to the Aurelia, and that might be the worst news for Eggwood Gaming.
Yeah, it certainly is. Giving some kills over to Aurelia means that she's going to be impossible to burst down with this mage, and there's not really many good tools mid-game to deal with her. because she can just run with all that tenacity over a lot of the abilities that come through. I guess one of the good things is, however, Koro getting a little bit more time by himself in that top lane.
I mean, the best performing member arguably in this game could be Def's Caitlyn, and that's a very juicy target for that Aurelia as well. So they will pressure finally though. Koro actually in trouble, going to get 1v1 here by Let Me, flashing forward for the last auto, and Gamtee are turning it on.
Yeah, they certainly are. They lose the turret in the bottom, however, able to pick up a solo kill in top and a turret in mid lane. They will take that trade once again, and staying ahead in gold, really powering up into this mid game.
I mean, Siva now picking up those items, able to clear waves very quickly with the BF Sword pickaxe, moving in towards the Infinity Edge. Trinity Force well and truly done for Let Me as well. And the Stinger now done for Shao. This is a decent power point for GT if they do want to contest for this next dragon.
Yeah, it certainly is. They're in a nice position to be able to contest. Big invade coming through here from EDG, trying to steal this away from Azir. I like that, just shutting down some of the momentum, but a great bubble. Yeah,
Clillov actually just nomming that one away with the Consume, and they'll look to the Scuttle Crab now as well. So the strong objective control here still. Let Me does get the tower in the top lane and doesn't have a teleport. Kora's actually wandering back there without his as well. So if this is the dragon, it's going to be 4v4 if Gamtee want to contest.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they do. They just back away. Understand that they're up in the turrets, but not really willing to fight at the moment, so good decision to back away from that one without their Aurelia. I think at this point, Aurelia just means so much more to team fights than what Koro's Rumble does.
And I think Pawn is sort of happy with all the action that's going, because he's freed up a lot more space for himself now. Charging up on that Vega now actually equaled the CS against Xiaohu, and he wasn't too far behind to begin with. So Vega does take some time to get going, but he's gotten enough room now that he can start blowing up these carries in the late game.
Yeah, he certainly can. I think, as I mentioned, the only person who's really going to struggle with is the top laner. Let Me now picked up Boots 2 as well. Touching on Boots 2 a little bit, because we're seeing that even before the Infinity Edge is picked up, actually, we might wait until someone dies up here.
There's actually 4 people from EDG committed to the top side, but I think Let Me is aware of what might be happening at least a little bit, so is backing off. We're actually going to find Clillov and Mako in towards his side of the top lane. And EDG might just take the turret instead. Def's actually mid collecting the farm as that pulls in as well. So Edward Gaming looking to get the last outer turret here, excuse me. Def free farming there as well. Dane's up towards the top, will clear out a ward for himself. Xiaohu's here as well, but EDG might just have enough free time with this tower, and indeed they do.
Yeah, they do entail. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, takes one out for himself. I was just going to mention that Boots 2 are one of the most gold-efficient items in the game, particularly for AD carries. Zerka's Greaves, very gold-efficient. That's why we're seeing it finished even before the Infinity Edge for Siva.
Yeah, and Mercury Tread's, of course, great with the Aurelia passive. So things looking strong there for Let Me, who's definitely had the best showing this particular game for Gamtee. And that's good news, but it's just a matter of, can EDG keep up the control that they've shown in so many games? It's not nearly the same story that it is in Game 1, but EDG are still known for impeccable objective control.
Yeah, and they still look like their vision control is fantastic over the top side and the bottom side of the map. They're really controlling the middle of the river area, meaning that they can rotate at pretty much the drop of a dime to any lane that is in their favor. So they're setting themselves up the tool. I think it's just that they scale a little bit slower this time around.
Yeah, and the thing with EDG is, you're right, they are getting some patience here, and despite the Infinity Edges being finished for both carries and Def still having a gold and CS lead there on the bottom lane, this is actually sort of the point where it's equalizing a bit, and both Vega and Caitlyn need to power up a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely is. Vega kind of has a couple more levels where his level 11 power spike actually means a lot because of his ultimate, but right now it's only really Xiaohu that he can take off the map, and Siva just outputs so much damage in team fights, and 3-0-3 Aurelia is going to tear anyone apart.
And we've seen this a lot from EDG as well, playing patiently, just knowing their win conditions and where they need to be at different points in the game. And as far as they're concerned, all they want to do is keep getting the Dragon. They're very good at shutting teams out of Dragon. They've got 2 now. They're going to definitely be looking for the 3rd in 4 minutes' time.
Yeah, and I think that you definitely just nailed something, that there's not really much for EDG right now to fight over. They took the outer ring. There's no Dragon, so why would they force something when they know that they're not in a fantastic position? Sure, they could maybe scrape together a team fight with just superior play, but why risk it against an Aurelia? She's just hit her power curve. Let the game go on for another couple of minutes. She looks like she's going for some MR, so just let Deft get maybe a static Shiv or a Phantom Dancer and be able to deal with it. Yeah,
I mean, Pawn powering up does even need to see Large Rod now, does back away from the gang squad that was looking at him there towards the mid lane, and as we do have a bit of a slower pace here while we wait for the next Dragon, it's probably a good time to talk about Dragon in general, because GT are actually up about 1,500 gold here in this game, which is a decent lead, not massive, but decent, but EDG, of course, up with that Dragon, and we still haven't quite figured out how to think about Dragon as an objective yet. It's hard to quantify.
Yeah, it certainly is, because I guess at the start of the game, maybe up until about 18 minutes, 19 minutes, when 2 items are being finished off, then the Dragons don't mean as much. So the early gold definitely comes through King, but there's this swing in the game where you get 2 finished items, particularly on raw carries, like a Caitlyn, like a Viger, that is just looking, they're not looking for really attack speed, things like this, penetration, they're just looking for the raw damage stat, and they do so well with the Dragon buff that comes through. So it's definitely team to team, and that's why it's very hard to quantify. But when you have a Veigar, I think that it's definitely worthwhile picking up those early Dragons.
And even just thinking about it simply, if you want to think, okay, you know, you need that 2-item power spike, it's interesting that that often coincides with the third Dragon, which is usually the mid-game Dragon. And I think the way that Zhao actually is in trouble, by the way. He's in a lot of trouble there. Pawn looking for another kill here. Clearly enough, though, Flash Snowball does pick it up. And Dragon back up in a minute 35. EDG might want more here. Sync Dream could be in trouble. The good ulti that comes out from Clear, but doesn't pop there as Dream flashes out. Good juke of the bubble there as well. And Pawn will chase him for this next kill. The Q coming out, almost killing the Nami just by itself. And Pawn should have more than enough left and does get the kill.
Yeah, able to pick up the kill. In response, they also force Gamtee out of the mid lane. This means that all of Dragon's control in the hands of EDG at the moment. They're just going to be able to sweep out any wards they like at this point. Def, please track that bush for the pick ward. No, it doesn't look like he's going to.
Nope, too busy farming minions there, Spawn. Wants to make sure that the GPM keeps up their Pawn down the bottom, doing the same as well as EDG looking to farm it for another minute. Know that the death times are small enough that they can't quite rush in for that Dragon. Now, Tula set up here, get their farm, go back, spend their gold, and then come in for the contest.
Yeah, 1,300 gold in Pawn's back pocket at the moment. He's got the most on his team. About 1,000 for Clear Love as well, who is shopping right now. So they're looking to get their shops in before this next Dragon fight. And you would have to say that Gamtee is still in a reasonable position to contest this as a 5-man unit.
Yeah, I mean, Gamtee looking good, and this Dragon's very important. And if we want to touch on it a little bit more before it comes back up, strategically, I think Dragon was put to me the best this way, and someone said that you look at the first and third Dragon buffs, they're personal buffs. You look at 2 and 4, they're team buffs. Those ones are the ones that help you farm and help you push, and the other two sort of help you just do things better. They let you move faster and you do more damage, right? We'll eat a bubble. The last one, of course, is a combination of both those things, and it's ridiculous. So if you're going to hit your mid-game power spikes here, really power up with 2 items. When you're looking to take your third Dragon, you have a 1 team buff and a double personal buff, and that's just so much of an edge.
Yeah, it certainly is, and the other thing it does is the inherent pressure that it puts on you if you don't get them. So it's not necessarily just the physical things they give you. It is a very big mentality thing at the moment, and it looks like they're looking to get the third one.
Yeah, so we are going to go in for it. It's been a couple minutes now. Sync Dream actually pops the ulti there with the tidal wave, trying to stop Mako. Does bubble there as well. Danger will dive in and let me. Going to get an easy first kill into that support, so GT going to go for this first Dragon. 4v5. Danger, though, just gets deleted by Pawn's Veigar, and the Dragon is low. Clear trying to get in. Veigar went down there to let me as well, and they've actually abandoned it of GT. No, they'll reset the Dragon a bit, but go back in for it now. Without that mid lane, GT are actually going to get their first Dragon.
Yeah, they certainly are, and it's because Aurelia is absolutely massive. 50 CS advantage, 5-0-3 is absolutely untouchable. No one does any damage to Let Me at this point in the game.
And you know that first Dragon we said it, big personal buff for anyone who gets it. Big news for Aurelia here as well for Let Me. And we kind of thought that the one big thing to look at would be that Aurelia, and Let Me came up massive there, just like you mentioned. So 5-0-3 now for that Aurelia. Still looking good, actually really putting Koro sort of in a hole in terms of CS as well. And we talk about Rumble being good with our items, but that transition point's really lost now.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Rumble, fantastic without items, but even better with items. It's one of those things that I think we lose sight of a little bit because he performs very well with minimal activity, but so does an Aurelia. And Aurelia at this point has just so many more resources at her disposal to be able to take over this map.
And then it's a timing thing as well. Pretty much your first 2 ultimates, so your first 2 or 3 ultis, so the one at level 6 and the next at level 11, they're fine with not that many items. But once you get later into the game, you actually need to do more damage because everyone's gotten tankier. And if you can't get into the middle and actually use the rest of your spells, not just your long-range equalizer, your influence in a fight really drops off significantly.
Yeah, it certainly does, and I think that we're seeing the problem with the EDG comp here. We said that they do have good zone control, but it's taking a lot of coordination, and when you have someone like an Aurelia that doesn't get affected by these long stuns that come out, it means that it puts a lot of inherent pressure on you to really nail that layered CC.
And the Pawn Veigar, though, is still powering up. He's got a death cap finished up now, so a very gold-efficient, very damage-heavy build here. Looking to get maximum burst out of that ult. He's got 500+ AP already, and even Distortion boots, because he knows that he doesn't really have a way to get out except for his flash.
Yeah. at about 511 AP at the moment for Vega, so he's definitely in the process of powering up. They need to be careful here, though, because they have no vision control over Baron.
Really nice setup there as well. So GT strangling all the vision out from EDG. That's usually EDG's wheelhouse. So Gamtee doing a very good job playing around the mid to late game objectives here in this game. I mean, EDG are getting their wards back, and on the heart's been popped. Pawn with a beautiful stun there to move Let Me off. But the damage is going to come through. The tidal wave moves in, and Let Me's going to get an easy kill again. 6-0-3 now.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Just ran through the stun. That is one of the longest non-ultimate stuns in the game. And just Aurelia shrugs it off with that passive, with the Merc Treads, able to get in there and pick up another kill.
And a frozen heart done now for Let Me as well. So this Aurelia is very scary.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. It looks like they're not done yet. Still looking to bully. Surprised they didn't actually turn around and go for anything around that Baron area. Still maybe a little bit risky because Rumble is up and does have the equalizer. So looks like they're just going to reset off that one, take the one kill.
Def damage not irrelevant either, but smart for GT to pick off Vega is kind of hit that power spike. If he's not on the map right now, with Koro and Def still powering up, EDG really do have to sit on their hands for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, they certainly do. And Let Me's job now is to get in Pawn's face and make sure Pawn ults him. If Pawn ulties Let Me, then they win the team fight. However, if he ulties Xiaohu, or maybe even Tail, if Tail uses a spell shield a little bit inappropriately, then the team fight will definitely go in the favor of EDG just because they're one serious threat down.
Yeah, Pawn here still on this Vega, got an amplifying term, so possibly looking for a Void stuff for very efficient magic damage. Really wants to put a lot into that ulti. It is nice as well that because of the quick death cap, each Q now scales exponentially when you get more AP.
Yeah, it definitely is one of those things that you take into account, and I like the pickup of going into the Void Staff next. There's a lot of magic resist coming out of the Gamtee lineup now, probably a Banshee's Veil. There's the Abyssal Scepter, and maybe even the Aegis of the Legion being finished up shortly by Danger, so looking to get as much flat penetration in there as percentage penetration as possible.
Yep, Locket done there as well for Clear Love. So Nuna looking tanky. Mikhail's done here as well. So Deft will be set up to really carry here once he does get his few items. But we talk about this a lot with late game carries. Your big power point is the 3.5 items. You want your Last Whisper usually, unless you go for BT, your IE, your Shiv, and you need your lifesteal item if you have a Last Whisper, because when you don't have it as a late game carry, you just don't live long enough.
Yeah, you certainly don't. And wow.
Pawn does get a kill though with the Vega, surprisingly able to burst down that jungle. I guess not that surprisingly given how strong his ulti is.
Yeah, it certainly is. He's at the point where, as I said, as long as he's not ulting Let Me, he's probably going to kill the person in his full combo. So nicely done there. Surprised actually that the AD and mid for Gamtee did not go Merc Treads. I think one of the cardinal sins is if you play this game against a Viger and you don't pick up Mercury Treads, then you really have to question your item pathing.
Yeah, we'll have to see what does come here. Dragon up in a minute 15 or so. Def still trying to pick up farm here. Has almost finished the Last Whisper. And, of course, wants that Vamp Scepter here as well. But looking good here at 265 CS. Still beating Tail by quite a significant amount. And GT might be worried that Siva's mid-game power and just the mid-game power of their comp in general might be starting to dwindle a bit here.
Yeah, I definitely... just hitting on the point you brought up about the lifesteal item, I think it means a lot more for Siva than it does for Caitlyn at this point, because range is kind of your own defensive stat, so you really need some lifesteal on a very short-ranged carry like Siva. And once again, it's really only the Nunu that has a lot of armor at this point in the game, so you have to start questioning these item builds of always rushing Last Whisper third.
I mean, Last Whisper third is one of those things that for a long time was the build. You always got it as an AD carry, but I think we've started to see a lot more adaptation between AD carry players and going for, more aggressive builds, getting the BT third. Deft, especially yesterday, was doing some very innovative things with his Jinx build.
Yeah, he certainly is, I think, about time we started mixing it up a little bit. Even just touching on this game, you have to wonder whether Deft goes for a Bloodthirster or whether he does even cheat for a Blade of the Ruined King. Blade of the Ruined King just helps so much with self-peel, and it's so hard to shake an Aurelia once she's on top of you. But of course, Bloodthirster does give that nice defensive shield as well. So I think both good pickups, but yeah, I definitely agree that people are starting to look at the AD carry build, and I don't think there is one right way anymore.
Yeah, and we're still on 4.21 as well, and that might all change when we move into some of the changes in 5.1 or 5.2. But EDG here, now Dragon's back up. Gamtee would love to get their second of the game. And EDG, for the first time in a while, especially in this series, look very scared to fight Gamtee.
Yeah, they look tentative. They're trying to find a pick. And the problem is that Let Me is spearheading this attack, and you cannot pick someone that tanky. He's got 3 completed items, and it's just an absolute beast. So they're looking to position themselves around the Dragon, maybe get a good push on the mid lane and trade this one away.
Yeah, we talked about execution-heavy comp for Gamtee last game. This is probably true of EDG's EDG's comp in this game as well. Playing around a Vega, probably not what a lot of teams are used to doing.
Yeah, it definitely is unique because you have to play around an ability that isn't an ultimate. So it's very, very hard to do. If they get the event horizon wrong, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the Gamtee just chunking out this dragon. They'll take it very easily. I like the tidal wave there from Sync Dream as well, just as own EDG. Often, you know, the big objective control we saw from EDG in Game 1, it's faltering a little here.
Yeah, I thought this would be the response, though, because at the moment, Gamtee can't run through the jungle to contest this because Event Horizon takes up that choke very nicely, so they trade an objective. They're equal on dragons now, but they're able to pick up a tier 2 turret for it.
Yeah, strong counter push there from EDG. You want to talk about controlling choke points. EDG's comp is all about it here. The Equalizer, Absolute Zero, Jonah Tornadoes, and her ultimate plus Pawn's Event Horizon is, yeah, you don't really want to be fighting in narrow spaces.
You certainly don't, and once again, this is now becoming a very position-heavy map. We saw that they were going for a flank there. GT, cheat to the bottom side. Straight away, EDG go and clear out Baron. They're trying to get them to face check one of those chokes we're speaking about and set up their big wombo combo.
Good pressure from Let Me, though, down towards the bottom lane to respond to that. And earlier here, almost level 16 will hit it just after these few minions go down. Looking really scary still, and now level 16 going to just be pressuring this wave. And no one can really stand toe-to-toe, so EDG going to have to send multiple people, most likely to actually deal with the push there. And that opens up more room for GT on this map. You said it, Spawn. It's a very rotation-heavy game now.
Yeah, it certainly is. I guess the only saving grace is now Rumble has finally picked up his Zhonya's Hourglass, so he's pretty much undivable just because of how much damage those turrets do. So looking like they are going to go into a split push here. The game is so equal pastry time. There's 400 gold in it at 31 minutes. Equal dragons, one turret in favor of EDG, but really on a knife edge.
Yeah, with the Sync... Oh, never mind. Sync Dream does get stunned up. They're going to get chunked out by the ulti, and Deft actually going to collect that kill for himself. That was a nice death rush there by Edward Gaming.
Yeah, it certainly was. They understood exactly that when you have a Caitlyn and a Nunu, neutral objectives fall so quick. We're forced to face check it, and there's just way too much raw damage on this Viger.
Deft is very strong now as well. Picked up that 3.5 item power spike we talked about. Pawn going to collect his own blue buff as well. Would love to hit level 16, but hasn't quite got there yet. But that shouldn't be too much longer here. And Gamtee, Nami's going to be back in 5 seconds. They have to be a little bit careful now around the Baron area. But EDG are going to at least secure vision. They're actually going to start the Baron now as well.
Yeah, really good decision to do this. There's not really a great ward to teleport to. They're going to get Koro in there nice and quickly, and they'll sneak this one away.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Danger looking to steal, does get knocked out, and Nunu secures a very nice smite from Clearlove.
Yeah, fantastic play out of EDG. We've mentioned how strong Let Me is. He is 12,000 gold. The next highest on the map is about 11,000. Actually, Deft is roughly equal with him, but he is just so much of his team's percentage gold that not having him there means if Deft is in the fight, they're so far ahead.
Yeah, and a bit of drop of awareness there by Gamtee as well. Didn't really respect and get revision back on that Baron. EDG just chomped it down with the rest of their team. Nunu, of course, created the early objective control. Let Me, by the way, going to walk pretty casually out of that equalizer.
Yeah, it certainly does those Merc treads as well as a passive, but it doesn't look like they're giving up.
Pawn wants to go in there, but there's no way to break the 16 flash Event Horizon. Not enough, though, and that was a very well-timed teleport.
Yeah, that was so close, though. Pawn, in the end, has to burn his flash, however, and I don't even know that would be worth it if they picked up the kill because it's such a long cooldown, and Viger is a sitting duck in these team fights without it.
I mean, he does have distortion enchantment, so that's at least a small thing there for that, but that was very aggressive by Pawn. You said it here. And Pawn is having some fun here on this fake. He's had a decent game, 6-3-2. Definitely set up to do a lot of damage here. Picked up his Void Stuff now as well. So really blow up the carries on Gamtee. But the problem still remains here. Let Me, and now the Azir powering up as well, are very big threats. Yeah,
they're certainly huge threats. And don't underestimate the amount of AoE damage that comes out of a Sivir as well. I think that in this team fight, Tail, there's a lot of short-range people, really only Caitlyn being the long range, so going to be able to layer a lot of AoE across and really augment Xiaohu's damage. So Gamtee's still in a position where they can fight. They just need to make sure they don't give up too much for this Baron.
Yep, Def going to try and siege up as well. The Baron buff going to help out, and Def's double BF sword items done now as well. He's got, I guess, the components of the Bloodthirster with the IE done as well. So Deft is very strong as well, and Pawn's able to zone them out pretty nicely. EDG have a kind of a wonky but rather effective siege comp.
Yeah, they certainly do. I was about to mention that I like the Bloodthirster for that reason, and ooh.
Pawn really wants to ult somebody. Oh man, danger going in there as well. Pawn actually gets kicked back in, but Koro takes him out. The ulti that comes in onto Let Me though, but he's going to get chunked out here. Def might have enough damage, but Koro zoning very well, and Tail will go down there to Def. He's got so much range. There's the double coming through as well, and that was well played, EDG.
Yeah, it certainly was. I don't know why Danger went that deep. It is impossible to run through a Nunu ultimate like that. the slow just keeps reapplying, and in the end, that might actually cost them the game.
And we talked about the disengage potential in EDG's comp. Gamtee pretty much just handed them that team fight, and EDG executed perfectly to possibly just close out the game. Now Pawn is sitting around the fountain, wanting to get a snipe. Def going to throw the ulti in as well. The tower will go down, and EDG, again, might just have it here.
Yeah, it certainly looks like they'll be able to clean this one up. Deft is just so strong at this point. Unless he dies to a fountain laser, which he nearly does, they will be able to pick up the win.
Yeah, and the Nexus now getting attacks as well. Def going to make very short work of a Pawn. Would try to get the last kill, but couldn't quite get it done with the Veigar ulti. And EDG, another strong game there. They get the 3 points they wanted.
Yeah, they certainly were looking for those 3 points. It puts them at the top of the table, and really good job from all the carries coming up huge there. Massive shout out for Deft. He really showed up in the late game.
He did. We're going to have a replay there from EDG as well. Nope. Apparently not. I'm sorry, everyone. There's no replay.
Yeah, so
not today.
In the end, it was just a really nice last team fight that came through. Gamtee kind of gave that game away, you feel. They tried to force, but in the end, EDG, too good.
I mean, a little bit, but I have to give Gamtee a lot of credit for the rest of that game that they went through as well.
Yeah, and that's why it's kind of disappointing, because they set it up to a point where they really had their late game rolling. We mentioned the Aurelia, we mentioned the Azir in the mid lane and how they'd finally got to that point, but Danger just going a little bit too deep, and he's at times had a little bit of problem with those judgment calls.
Yeah, and again, Gamtee have looked strong but never quite been able to finish off. So that's a good showing there against EDG. We'll see what they can get done moving through, though. And we won't have a replay, but we will have another match coming up as well. Don't go anywhere. IG versus Vici is coming right up.